try to sugarcoat this, but I can't. High school Erika was not cool. While all the other kids were drinking at prom and doing the things that cool kids apparently do, I was hanging out at TGI Fridays with my parents. So it was one Friday night, senior year of high school, and my family and I went out to dinner to our favorite restaurant, the Mexican Food Factory, which, like, who thought of that awful name, right? Like, who thinks, like, we're gonna make some delicious Mexican food, what should we call it? A Mexican food, like, who thinks a factory sounds delicious? All I think is beans. Anyway, but we like this place. We go, sitting with my family, and I see out of the corner of my eye this really attractive waiter, like the hot salsa. So I'm like, I was really shy then. Like, present day Erika would probably just walk up to him and introduce myself, but high school Erika was like, I will just creepily glare at him the entire time we're sitting at dinner and hope I catch his eye, which I did. Like, he smiled at me, and I didn't know if it was, to be nice, because he thought it was a weirdo, something was wrong with me, I don't know. So we go home. So I get home and rebellion comes over me. I'm not sure what happened, but I decide I need to do something about this. So we had you remember we had a cordless phone. And you couldn't take the cordless phone too far away from the base, or else it wouldn't work. So I couldn't take it up to my room to make a phone call. So I was like, where is the furthest I can take it from the base that my parents won't hear me? So I take it into the downstairs bathroom at my parents' house. I also grab a phone book. And so I go in the bathroom with my phone book in one hand and the cordless phone in the other. I turn on the fan, and I turn on the sink, just, in case to muffle all the stuff. I shut the lid to the toilet, and I'm sitting on my knees reading the phone book with the phone in my hand. And I find the number, and I start to dial. I'm like, my hands are slippery, and I'm so nervous I can barely get the antenna up on the phone. And I'm slowly dialing, and it starts ringing. And I'm like, my heart is coming out, like it's beating with the ringing of the phone. And I'm thinking, well, maybe no one will answer, right? And after about the fourth ring, somebody picks up. Hi, Mexican Food Factory, this is Anthony. Hi, I'm looking for the very attractive waiter. And the guy on the phone goes, yeah, that's me. Oh, okay. So I'm like, I was dyeing my hair blonder at the time, and I'm like, I'm the blonde girl who was there with her family. Complete silence. Oh God, like he doesn't know who I am, or worse, he thinks I'm ugly. He's trying to be nice, he's thinking of the words. All these scenarios are going through my head, and I'm preparing myself to be like, okay, no problem, bye. And then finally, after this huge silence, he goes, I'm glad you called. I'm like, you are? So he starts talking to me, and he tells me he lives in Philly, and I'm from South Jersey, so it's outside of Philly, and he's in college and all this stuff. And finally he says, we should meet for a coffee. I'm like, okay. So he goes, but my car's in the shop, so you're gonna have to come to Philly to meet me. Now, my parents are very overprotective. I'm not allowed to drive to Philly. I know it's just 20 miles away, but I'm not allowed to drive over the bridge. But I'm like, I don't care if this is gonna be my future boyfriend driving to Philly. So I do tell my parents that I'm going out with Anthony, the Italian guy who works at the Mexican Food Factory. And my mom's like, how did this happen? And I was like, when I went to the bathroom, he asked for my number. And she goes, that is so sneaky. I'm thinking, you don't know the half of it. So I drive to Philly, and the whole time I'm like, oh my God, he's going to be my boyfriend, all this stuff, all the things we can do together, naming our children. I get there. He meets me on the corner, and I remember he's wearing blue shoes. And we walk, that's the thing, and he's so handsome. And we walk to the coffee shop, and we're sitting there, and I'm just ogling it. He's so good looking. And the minute he opens his mouth, I can't stand anything that comes out of his mouth. He's so boring. He's talking about his college classes and his rock collection, I don't know. And then after about half an hour, he goes, oh yeah, and my girlfriend and I are going on vacation.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't buy my coffee. So I'm like, enough of this. So after about an hour, I drive home and I'm like, what a mess, I'm like, well, at least we don't have to go through divorce and share custody of the kids, right? So I get home and I'm like, is my mom gonna know I was in Philly? I walk in, I acted like nothing happened, and I went to sleep. It wasn't until about 10 years later, when somehow that restaurant is still in business. I'm visiting my parents. We go out to lunch at the Mexican food factory. I tell them the entire story, and thankfully for everyone involved, Anthony, my hot salsa, no longer works at the Mexican food factory. Thank you.